I'm America's Digital Pro, Kim Commando. Hey, and welcome to Tech News This Week, where we give you just the top stories, talk about the scams, the security alerts, and just all the crazy happenings in the world of tech. Coming up, thousands of Android apps are tracking you, and unfortunately, there's not much you can do to stop it.
And I'm Mike James. We're also going to tell you about how much more your smart speakers are trying to learn about you and your other devices.
Plus, we've talked about video games and the effects that they have on kids' brains for many, many years. Well, a new study, it's kind of a crazy study, I'm not sure if I believe it, but it looks at the effects of video games. I don't think you're going to believe the results.
Plus, believe it or not, there's a new viral internet challenge that wants kids to go missing.
And later on, why staying apart can actually help keep you together. All right, so you sleep with somebody else, and let's say they're not the best sleeping partner. Well, there's new technology out that, well, make it a little bit easier. And it's not from Google, it's not from Apple, it's from a major car manufacturer, of all things. All that and much more coming up you don't want to miss on Tech News This Week from Commando.com. But first, we have to thank our partners in this podcast because they help make these updates possible. When it comes to hiring, you don't have to waste time. You need help getting to your short list of qualified candidates fast. That's why you need Indeed.com. Post a job in minutes, set up screener questions, then zero in on qualified candidates using an intuitive online dashboard. And when you need to hire fast, accelerate your results with sponsored jobs. New users can try for free at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
We start with your smartphone and how it tracks you. No surprise there. We've been talking about it for quite a while now. It tracks wherever you go, and many apps collect data, of course, that goes straight to advertisers. But there's something you might not know. There's a lot of apps that track your activity over time, even when you tell them not to, and you can't even get rid of what's already been recorded. In a recent report by CNET, there are 17,000 Android apps that collect identifying information about you and create permanent records of that activity on your device. That's according to research that's just been released by the International Computer Science Institute. And there's also apparently nothing that you can do about it. Here's how it's happening. Those apps track you by linking your advertising ID, which is a number that's unique to you and allows for targeted ads. Now, that number can be reset, but there are other identifiers built into your phone that are difficult or impossible to change, such as the MAC address, Android ID, and IMEI. And even though Google recommends that developers only take the advertising ID, research shows that only a third of Android apps abide by that, and that means it appears that they're violating Google's policy on data collection. While devices are allowed to collect identifiers, they're not allowed to combine the ad IDs with the hardware IDs without very specific consent from each person. So most of those identifiers can be reset, but you can't do much about the targeted ads that are coming your way. And researchers say it's a lot of big names on the list, like the game Angry Birds Classic, Flipboard, audiobooks by Audible, and all apps developed by Cheetah Mobile are on the list, with popular ones like Clean Master, Battery Doctor, and Cheetah Keyboard. Google said they've investigated the report and taken action, but didn't say what action was taken. Few of the companies on the list also have responded, saying they don't use the data for ad targeting. Now, we've got more information on this research at Commando.com, along with steps that you can take to reset your advertising and Android IDs. But again, you can't really change those identifiers, and that's the bottom line. Unless you plan on getting a new phone, of course, you can change it, and you have the whole issue all over again.
Wouldn't it be great to have a smart home? You walk in the door and you say, "Alexa, I'm home." And then, oh my gosh, suddenly the lights come on, the fireplace illuminates, the fans are going. Suddenly the microwave oven turns on. The refrigerator opens and this smart arm just hands you a beer or a glass of wine. That would be something. Everything that I just mentioned is a data point about you. And every data point about you potentially goes into Amazon and Google's and other places' data banks. But what if that data wasn't just collected at the time that you actually did it? Yes, that's what's going on. You see, these device makers like Logitech, Hunter fans, that smart refrigerator, they could actually send a continuous stream of information. And imagine all the data that could be collected 24/7 about you, not just when you actually do something. All this was reported recently in Bloomberg's Quint. That's an online magazine. And these device makers, they're saying, hey, listen, we can't just give you this continuous stream of information all the time. I mean, why do you really need to have all this data? Well, Apple and Google say, we need this data not because we want to know exactly when Kim Commando has a glass of Chardonnay every night, but because this data can actually help improve the quality of our voice-activated assistants and our smart connected devices. All right, do you believe them for even a nanosecond? There's big money in data collection. And somewhere along the way, we probably agreed to it because these data collection policies, they get buried within these lengthy terms and conditions that nobody ever reads. So the average consumer has no idea that all these routines are actually being recorded. So if this bothers you, you got a couple of things you can do. Number one, don't buy a smart device. Okay, I know that's unrealistic. Number two is you can turn off the smart device when you're not using it. Also kind of dumb because why else would you have it? Finally, what you can do is you can delete all your smart home accumulated data. And I'll tell you, it's not easy to do. But if you are interested in it, just hit commando.com. We've got a ton of tips about removing your personal data from smart devices.
All right, so I don't mean to scare you, but I want you to put yourself in this situation for a moment. You go to wake your child up for school, and they're not there. You can't find them anywhere. The police get involved, still nothing. It's, of course, a parent's worst nightmare. It's also a part of yet another viral challenge. Once again, it's just for their 15 minutes of social media fame. So, not long ago, there was a Bird Box challenge based on the Netflix movie where people would blindfold themselves, walk around, and see how long it took to walk into something, and everybody would laugh, and I guess that would be the end of it. Problem was, a lot of people were driving cars blindfolded, and of course, it didn't always go well. So this other challenge, it's a little different kind of dangerous. This one's called the 48-Hour Challenge, and it encourages children to go missing and then stay missing for 48 hours. And it's also their photo will show up on social media. All right, just think about that for a moment. Wake up, your child is gone, the sheer panic of not being able to find him. And then there are the resources the police and others put into searching for him. And when they're tied up doing that, it takes away from responding to real emergencies. So it's a good idea to make sure phone location services like Find My Phone are enabled. There's also a lot of apps to help you keep tabs on the kids, and we've got the details on those apps over at commando.com.
And just ahead, many experts are saying that video games can make kids more aggressive. Okay, we've heard that for years. I mean, some kid plays a video game, and then does it make that kid want to go out and shoot somebody up? Well, some new research is actually pointing the other direction. Maybe video games, just maybe, video games are actually making kids smarter. Before we get to all that, here's a word from one of our sponsors in this podcast, Capterra. It's 2019, and technology has grown leaps and bounds since 1999. So why are you still using that old, outdated software? Find software that fits your business's needs using Capterra.com. I get asked all the time for different recommendations, and I refer people to Capterra.com. With over 700,000 reviews of products from real software users, discover everything you need to make an informed decision. Search more than 700 specific categories of software. Everything from project management to email marketing to yoga studio management software. No matter your business needs, Capterra makes it easy to discover the right solution, fast. Join the millions of people who use Capterra each month to find the right tools for their business. Visit Capterra.com/Kim today to find the right tools to make 2019 the year for your business. Once again, that address is Capterra.com/Kim. Let me spell it for you. Capterra.com/Kim.
All right, here's another question that comes up a lot for parents. What effect is video games having on your children's brains? Of course, for years, the concern has been that violent games can lead to more aggressive behavior. But now some say video games can actually make your kids smarter. These days, you've got all kinds of games and platforms, and of course, they come in all shapes and sizes, from family-oriented to adult-level games. There's the popular online game Fortnite, where players shoot zombies and of course, each other. They get more violent and lifelike. For example, the realistic war game Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto, a game about crime where you can pretty much do anything you want. And it's been a big debate for years. You've got some experts who say games like that are messing up kids' brains in ways that can lead them to becoming more violent or antisocial. The University of Oxford conducted some research recently, but it still doesn't answer any question definitively. After a study that involved 1,000 British teens, they found out that 6 of the 10 play the violent games, but they were no more likely to become aggressive because of it. And of course, you've got those who see more of a silver lining, who say other video games can benefit young people in ways like creative thinking or learning trial and error. And some of those experts who work with children say there's a real potential for education in video games, like researcher Tanner Higgin. He's the director of education strategy for Common Sense Media, which is an independent game review site. He told the New York Post today's games offer an immense range of experiences of which parents may not be familiar with. He says the greatest learning potential for games is when they don't look like traditional forms of learning. So instead of games that deal solely in education, he suggests ones with storylines that encourage kids to make meaningful choices and have different experiences. Others say it's complicated to tell what impact they might be having. New York Post spoke with other experts, one of whom said that the digital world changes so rapidly that studies like this are hard to pull off because they're always playing catch-up. So it's one of those two sides to every coin issues, but there is no doubt that some of these games may be exposing younger kids to mature themes that they're probably not ready for. So like TV, movies, and music, it's really up to you, the parents, to decide what's appropriate. But what is clear is that no one wants their kids to become the zombies they're fighting on screen.
In Barcelona, the world's largest mobile show will take place in about a week. Get ready for new phones with 5G, foldable designs, and multiple cameras. With smartphone sales stagnant as people hold on to their devices longer, phone makers are unveiling new models. Samsung's hoping that its foldable Galaxy will be the future. It's a smartphone when closed, and when it's fully opened, it turns into a tablet. But Huawei is set to announce a foldable phone too, but theirs supports the new 5G networks. And the company's Honor phone has a 48-megapixel camera. Speaking of, LG is banking on 3D cameras that can scan your face for security and access to your phone. And what about Apple? They'll announce the new iPhone in June. This gives them plenty of time to get inspiration from their competition for a foldable iPhone.
There's a new kind of artwork starting to pop up, art that's generated by artificial intelligence, and one of those is heading to auction. So this isn't your average painting, obviously. It's made up of 2 screens connected to a wooden table with an AI computer brain inside, and this computer uses neural networks to generate a never-ending, never-repeating stream of portraits of people who don't exist. The artwork was created by German artist Mario Klingmann, who's considered a pioneer in neural network computer learning and AI art. He's also trained this AI using thousands of portraits from the 17th to the 19th centuries. He added a few of his own preferences, and now the AI computer uses algorithms to generate portraits that will never repeat for as long as it's running. It's going to be auctioned off at Sotheby's London on March 6th, and it's estimated to sell anywhere from about $39,000 to $52,000. This will be the first auction of this kind of artwork that continuously changes. Now, back in October, Christie sold an AI-generated portrait for, get this, $432,000. Wow. Another day, another risk of your online accounts getting into the wrong hands. It's still pretty early in the year, but you might remember the collection number 1 breach discovered in January, which exposed over 1 billion with a B unique email and password combinations. Then collection number 2 through 5 kicked in. That number went up to 2.2 billion with another B, hacked accounts. And here we go again. This time, more than 600 million accounts from 16 popular websites are listed for sale on the dark web. The price? About $20,000 in Bitcoin. Hackers can buy breached data such as account names, email addresses, and passwords. At least that's what the hacker who's selling the stolen account information told the Register in the UK. Now, this person even provided the Register with samples to prove that this information was real, and it looks like it is. If there's a silver lining on this case, it's that all the passwords seem to be hashed, which means they'd still have to be cracked for another crook to be able to use them. That, and it also doesn't look like any banking information was exposed. But here's the problem with the passwords. The typical buyers of data like this are hackers who use credential surfing attacks, so that means they can crack some of the weaker passwords. They'll also try to use these exposed usernames and passwords on other sites to see if you're using the same credentials across any of your online accounts. Of the 16 hacked sites, the video messaging app Dubsmash was hit the hardest. Of the total 617 million account details that were stolen, Dubsmash makes up about 162 million of them. Another breach involved MyFitnessPal with over 150 million exposed accounts. Now you can see a list that includes the other 14 hacked sites over at Commando.com, along with more information about the breach. And we also have all the information you'll need to protect your online accounts, which includes creating unique passwords, passphrases, and how to set up two-factor authentication on certain sites. Check out Commando.com for those tips and tricks and to keep your private data secure.
More tech news from Commando.com is coming up in a moment, including we've got some important information about another major data breach. I know, it's kind of a yawner. It happens week after week, and this one could also be putting your information at risk. And then later on, a major auto manufacturer, not really a tech company, they've created a kind of tech product, bed kind of add-on, I guess you'd say, to make sure that your partner stays where you want them to be in the bed all night long. But first, we have to thank our partners in this podcast because they help make these updates possible. It's 2019, and technology has grown leaps and bounds since 1999. So why are you still using that old, outdated software? Find software that fits your business's needs using Capterra.com. I get asked all the time for different recommendations, and I refer people to Capterra.com. With over 700,000 reviews of products from real software users, discover everything you need to make an informed decision. Search more than 700 specific categories of software. Everything from project management to email marketing to yoga studio management software. No matter your business needs, Capterra makes it easy to discover the right solution fast. Join the millions of people who use Capterra each month to find the right tools for their business. Visit Capterra.com/Kim today to find the right tools to make 2019 the year for your business. Once again, that address is Capterra.com/Kim. Let me spell it for you. Capterra.com/Kim.
All right, here's an interesting way a major retailer is using your location data against you so you'll spend more on whatever you buy. KARE, an NBC affiliate in Minneapolis, began a 2-month investigation after one of their viewers said they paid $100 for an electric razor in the store at Target, but once they left the store, the Target app dropped the price to $70. So in the investigation, KARE found that if you were using Target's app while shopping in one of their stores, the prices on random products were higher than, say, if you were shopping on the Target app from home. So here's what's going on. When you download the Target app, it asks if it can have access to your location data, and once that's granted, it uses that data and geofencing to know where you are. And that includes if you're physically in a Target store. So when you go to one of the stores, the prices of items in the app change to match what they are in the store. But once you leave the store, they change to Target's online store pricing, which are cheaper in many cases. So the station reached out to Target, and they responded by saying they're making a number of changes in the app to make it easier to understand their pricing. So basically, they're not going to make their online in-store prices match. They're just going to change it to say either online or in-store price next to the price of everything in the app. The TV station also checked other big stores like Walmart and Best Buy, but didn't find any pricing differences. We've got more details on this story over at Community.com.
You may have heard that Russia's disconnecting itself from the global internet. Think of it as a virtual drawbridge. Nothing goes out and nothing comes in. Russia has made it clear that they want no part of the decentralized global internet as it exists today. They want total control and tracking of its citizens' online activities. So in 2017, Russia started building an independent internet along with its own DNS or routing servers. In doing so, Russia can regulate and censor the internet much like the Great Firewall of China. Publicly, Russia propaganda says they want their own internet to make sure that in the event of a cyber attack, the country can still function. So Russia's going to test their new internet lines before April 1st. Now, I know what you're thinking. If only we could cut Russia off until after the 2020 elections.
If you've ever used a GPS navigation app while walking around a busy city, you've probably seen a situation or two where it couldn't figure out where you were. Well, the dot jumps around or the map spins in a way that you'd have no idea which direction you need to go. Well, now Google could be on the brink of releasing a new augmented reality feature to their Google Maps app that could help. Okay, let's back up a bit first. Last May, Google showed off a new visual positioning system that uses your smartphone's camera and AR to help get you where you're going on foot. So it works like this. Once you need help with directions and launch your camera, Google Lens will figure out where you're standing by comparing what your camera is looking at to their Street View database. Now, once it figures out where you are, 3D arrows will be overlaid on the screen, telling you which direction you need to go. The familiar map portion will still appear at the bottom of the screen to help you make sure you're going the right way. According to the Wall Street Journal, the new AR GPS feature is rolling out to some people to help test it out, specifically Google's community previewers who have access to preview versions of the app. Now, Google says it's not to be used for your entire trip. It's just a way to help you navigate complex intersections. So far, they haven't said how long it'll be until it's available to everyone. Finally today, Ford is obviously well known for their cars and trucks, but from time to time tend to try their hand in other ways while still using some of the same tech included in their vehicles. And now they're doing it again. It's just a prototype, but Ford has created a conveyor belt bed to keep your partner on their own side of the bed at night. There's a pressure sensor built into the bed that knows when your better half has crossed over to your sleeping territory. So the conveyor belt will then kick in and help put them back on their side of the bed. And the tech is based on the same driver assist system that keeps their cars in the right lane. So can Ford help save marriages? Well, possibly, but only if they decide to bring this conveyor belt into production. By the way, every week on Kim's national radio show, she answers questions from people like you who want to live their best digital lifestyle. Whether it's a family problem or a business issue, or you're wondering how to get things done, you can make an appointment to speak with Kim. Use our dedicated caller line and leave a message at 602-381-8200, extension 290. Again, that's 602-381-8200, extension 290, and a producer will get back to you. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.